To ask Umaar Kazmi, who has a question. It's really quite relevant to the arguments we've been hearing here.
I found that the Leave campaign can't answer what the short-term consequences of leaving would be, and I found that the Remain campaign can't answer what the long-term consequences of remaining would be. Could you answer that now?
Well, absolutely. The point is, people keep saying, give us more facts, give us more facts. But we're looking not at facts, we're at forecasts. And you're quite right to say, what is going to happen if we leave? What is going to happen if we remain? And we can't answer those questions precisely, but we can give you sensible estimates. And the sensible estimate is that if we leave, there'll be some short-term market volatility, but very quickly we'll establish new trade deals with Europe, we'll establish new trade deals with the rest of the world. We will be, to some extent, free of regulation, despite what Glenys is saying along there, and therefore our economy will perform better, we will have more money for schools and hospitals and all those things. The question you should ask, and especially when Remain say, don't dice with our future, ask them what the European Union will be like in 5 years' time, 10 years' time. Ask them when the euro crisis is going to happen again. Ask them how they're going to resolve the immigration crisis. Ask them when Turkey is going to join the EU. Yes, yes, yes.
Do you want to answer that? When is Turkey going to join the EU?
Well, the year 3000, Cameron told us.
Nowhere near in the distant future. That's the truth, and they know it. And this is a scare story.
On another occasion, I'm going to be so courageous to argue that it would be a benefit to have Turkey in the EU, but it's a democratic Turkey that we require, and it requires very enormous change, which isn't going to happen. But on the question, which is a very sensible question, I do agree on both sides. Once you get 5, 10 years out, it is completely silly to start putting figures on things and all the rest of it, because frankly, and I've been in economic policy a bit of my time, a certain forecast 5 years ago isn't right. You're going to have to adjust it. What I would say is, politically, our power and influence in the world will be diminished if we leave compared with staying in.
Exactly.
Economically, our prospects in the world, in the long term, will be damaged if we leave rather than remain. You'll be worse off than you otherwise would be because you've lost the prime place we have at the moment as one of the most leading and influential nations in the biggest single market in the world.
Andrew Bridgen, how do you respond to that?
I actually agree with Ken on the inaccuracy of financial forecasting, economic forecasting. In my opinion, the main job of economists is pointing out and explaining why their last prediction was wrong. We've heard from a plethora of economic experts from the Remain campaign. Project Fear has been at absolutely full belt, and I'm very proud that the British people have not succumbed to that. For me, it's also about a matter we haven't talked about tonight, which is about the sovereignty and who runs our country. No. And at the end of the day, if you want to be a vassal state of a greater European homeland, you should vote to remain. If you want to be a free and independent and sovereign nation with a government that you can elect, and if you don't like their policies, you can throw them out and get somebody else, vote to leave.
I want to go back to Umar. I know you are undecided in this. What do you think about what you've heard? They try to answer the short-term and the long-term question that you had.
Well, I mean, Roger, you mentioned short-term market volatility if we leave. I mean, what does that actually mean? People like us who are undecided want to know. I mean, people are saying there could be a recession, there could be dire economic consequences if we leave, and I don't think you've adequately said what would happen if we leave.
What would you like to hear? You'd like more clarity. Would you like more?
I don't have a crystal ball. I can give you my estimate. My estimate is that the FTSE might go up and down by a few points, sterling might go up and down by a few points, but 6 months later, there will be basically no change. 5 years later, our economy will be stronger, the FTSE will be stronger, possibly the
Maddie, are you as sanguine about a short-term financial blip?
I'll just say, I'm in exactly the same position. The Leave campaign, the Remain campaign, the actual campaigns have been terrible. They have been about fear on both sides. Nobody knows what the reality of the situation is because we are going into a total unknown. And what I ask you to do is to please vote and think about your life, how it's affected you. Has Europe been good for you, or do you think it's been bad for you? So in small businesses, we believe there's not a small business alive that can sustain without stakeholders. It's about partnerships. United we stand, and this is, I think, what we need to look at the long term. I've got kids, I've got grandkids. It means they can travel. It means that research and investment money has come into the universities. Research and investment money has come into our companies so that we can innovate.
Yes,
this is the benefits.
You say yes, we'll all be able to travel after there's a Brexit, if there's a Brexit. But we'll all need visas, won't we, to go to certain countries in Europe?
No, well, there are dozens of countries with visa-free access to the EU, and the idea that Britain, as the fifth largest economy in the world and the biggest customer of Europe, would not have visa-free travel is frankly absurd. Did you know there's research recently showing that something like 1 person in 6 in Britain believes that Brexit means you can't have any foreign holidays? Let me tell you right now, that is nonsense. You can still have European holidays.
Glenys, yes, briefly.
Yes, just to answer that question about the long term, nobody knows what the long term effects is, but what I can tell you is this is our biggest market. It's a market of 500 million people. Are you going to finish? Yeah, let me finish. Thank you. A market of 500 million people. Now, if we want to be at the table and set the rules, we need to be there. Whatever happens in the rest of the EU, whether we're in or out, will have an impact on Britain. Yeah. No one can deny that. Surely we're better to have a seat at the table and be making those rules than be outside the door looking in, and that makes a huge difference. And I'm interested, the first question was about jobs. I'm interested in how many jobs, and some on the Leave campaign say it's a price worth paying to lose British jobs. I don't think it is.
Okay, so